Greetings and welcome to our channel. Welcome also to Culinary Analytics. Being the new kid on the block in POS specifically for restaurant operations, I guess we have to show them better than we can tell them. How about that? So let's dig into this. Culinary Analytics is the only POS, financial, and truly data analytics system that exists. I set through presentations with all your big players, Toast, Square, Clover, Shift 4, and attempted to get details of costing as well as functionality in comparison to the system in which we built, because my goal was not to go to market with something that just didn't do better than what already existed. My name is Jerry Brown. I am the founder of Culinary Analytics. I have been in retail, food, and operations for 24 years. Over the last 5 to 7 years, though, I really fell in love with data, pivoted off into the financial analytics, and doing some consulting work for a restaurant, I realized a huge gap in the information in which you all have to make decisions in your business today. And so what I did was I went through these different demos, and then I said, okay, well, let's build what restaurant owners really need. And what I think, when I was thinking through it, I was like, how do I create the digital twin of that owner, of every owner, in the decisions they're trying to make? And those decisions that they're trying to make is, how do I maximize sales? How do I maximize profits? And then on a more specific level is like, every day, what do I need to order? What does payroll need to look like? And all of these little nuances, all these little individual decisions that adds up to your profitable operation. So let's dig into it. So one of the first things I think is like, I want to know exactly what I'm doing in sales. So the top part of your dashboard walks you through your daily sales. So if we went and ranked something up, it will show up in this immediately, allowing you to see firsthand what's taking place in your restaurant, whether you are on site or elsewhere. It is a web-based application, so you can tap into it wherever you are. Amazing. The next section is, okay, if today is doing good or bad, how are we doing over some method of time? And the second row then digs into how you're doing over time, because you know, kind of like your P&L, you want to get snapshots of what's going on. And so this would allow you to toggle by day. You can look at it by day, week, or month to kind of get a grasp understanding of what's taking place. Now, some of these key performance indicators or KPIs that we have posted here is like revenue, which is your sales, net profit, which is the difference between sales and cost, gross profit percent. And why gross profit percent is important, because you have an industry average of about a 30% food cost. Now, at 30% food cost, you're talking about a 25% purchasing, but also somewhere in the ballpark of about 5% waste or shrink, which is included in your cost of goods sold. And this will give you kind of a snapshot of like how you're doing and where you at. And if that number is like less than 70, then that would draw you to mean to do some action. Now, I'm gonna dig into that a little bit right quick, because what we attempted to do also is build in the Lean Six Sigma data collecting methodologies in this. And so when we see that the gross profit percent is outside of what it is that we desire, the next thing is let's look at and apply the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, which says that 20% of your sales come from 20% of your items produce 80% of your sales. And as a result, what we've done is we integrated into your system this top 10 food items. So most restaurants have at least 100 ingredients, maybe a few more. And if you got more than 200, oh my goodness. But what we really want to talk about is like, if my margins are off, does it really benefit me in order to go through like every item, or do I just attack the top 20% that's producing most of my sales and then dig into those ingredients to determine if those items are actually the culprit, and how do I improve the cost structure on them? Do I need to reformulate some recipes, so forth and so on? And so that part is built into the process. Now, the next question is, well, how does it even know this? How does it know anything about your food costs? And that's another great question, because what we believe to be true is that it is important for us to have built into your system a food costing mechanism. Every restaurant owner needs to know the cost of their food. And so as you're building out your POS system, which includes ingredients, which includes images, you're able to actually assemble this recipe, and simultaneously we're assembling the cost of goods in the background. And that way you can know that, am I priced appropriately, either from a cost perspective, but also from what customers are willing to pay perspective. And that's all come like basic in our system. All other systems cost you more. Some of them doesn't provide it at all. You have to go and do another subscription with a third-party company. Tracking? All right. So next thing that we talk about is we have to make orders every day in the food and restaurant business. And so oftentimes I've seen, as well as myself when I owned my own cafe, was having to run out and pick up something that I either missed, forgot, didn't order enough of, or whatever that may look like. And so what we did to combat that is, in addition to while we're building out your recipes and getting your ingredient list together, we actually have a par level built into it. And so we would do some analytics on your sales by menu item, and then determine based on the sales volume of each item. We'll do some fancy stuff in the background, and then we'll be able to produce out a par list that basically gives you the quantities needed to maintain on hand for a 2-day supply based on your average sales. But then what we need to get into is, like, again, the devil's in the details. So every penny or percent of your business needs to be accounted for. And the better you are at making appropriate orders, the less waste you make, and those pennies that would otherwise go into waste over purchasing would ultimately find its way to your bottom line. And one of the things we did in order to address that is we created a daily predictive analytics. This is exclusive. And when I say exclusive to Culinary Analytics, no other restaurant actually provides this level of detail. What they would tell you is that, yes, we do analytics, and then they'll point you to the descriptive analytics, which is the process of simply telling you what happened, and or telling you, well, based on your past ordering history, here is what you should order. And if I look at ordering history in comparison to sales history, you're going to make the same mistakes over and over again. So in our system, what we have is this really cool predictive mechanism that looks at your past sales history. And in this servings bucket, it tells you exactly what it thinks you're going to do in sales tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the third day out. And in doing so, you get to go through each one of these menu items to say, do I agree or not agree with what the system says? Now, most of us do what I call mental muscle memory. And we simply grab a piece of paper, walk the kitchen. Based on our memory, we make decisions. And in that, we make what I call a margin of error, right? And so scientifically speaking, there's about, most scientists will tell you we could get you in about 95% margin of error. In my opinion, I think operators who use mental muscle memory can get you probably in an 85 to 90% margin of error where you get most of it right. And then our system is designed to try to get you closer to about a 95 to 97% accuracy rate. And so in that thought, continuing on, is like, well, how do you know to feel good about the number predicting? So what we done was we add in some other data points. How did you do last week the same day? How did you do last year the same day? How did you do over the last 12 weeks on average in sales of this particular item? And does what you've been doing make sense on what you're projecting to do? You then walk that thought process through all your menu items. And then afterwards, you are able to then export this into an Excel file that's going to tell you, here's the quantity you need. Based on the built-in perpetual inventory, it's going to say, this is what you should have on hand. And then it's going to tell you the difference of what you actually need to go and order. And so this is awesome because you get somewhat of a daily inventory going that would take you, in this case, hopefully about 15 to 20 minutes to walk your kitchen and jot down notes. But you also can see directly if something's saying that you have more on hand than what the system is saying, you can begin to ask questions about, well, how did we lose it? Are we over proportioning in things? Did we lose something? Did we actually get what we ordered from our vendors? So there's a whole bunch of other data points or thought processes that should derive from that process of walking your kitchen to determine what's going on. Tracking. All right. So next thing is that I know that the next most important thing, at least the owners, that was really cool for you. But in terms of your employees, you want your employees to have a simple way to actually take care of their customers and do business, right? And so what we're going to go over now is the POS system. And here we have your POS system. And like I said, if we input the images like I showed earlier in the video, then they will show up on the POS system, not only on the POS system. So when you sign up with us, there's some magic that also happens, right? You're going to get a free custom landing page. You're going to be able to provide us with some feedback, some images, some verbiage about yourself, your business, And then customers will be able to go to yourrestaurant.com and click the order for delivery, order for pickup buttons, and we'll work to integrate DoorDash, Uber Eats, or whatever you need. And if they order for pickup, then we can integrate that to where it passes straight into your kitchen, and as if they were standing in the line with you. So you'll be able to determine how do you want to package that up, right? So then you're going to be able to get an online store as well. So when they go to order online, you want them to see something that's clean and crisp. Now, I'm not going to tell you which other POS system you should go and check, but go out there and tap into them. Some of them are pretty decent. Some of your bigger players, you get a box with a name. And from your ownership perspective, is that what you want your customers to actually see? I'm going to leave it at that. All right. So clients walk into your establishment. They talking to your waiter. And so this one, we're gonna presume that we are sitting, that your customers are walking into your restaurant and placing an order at the counter. We also have handhelds where this functions just the same way, but for simplicity, we're gonna walk through. They walk into the counter. You can say they're dining in, and then this map will pop up. Now, I don't have settings in here yet. I can put tables and design it exactly the way your restaurant is laid out. And then you'll pick where your client is going to sit, or you could build in a process where we use your number system in this form as well and just say the number, blah, blah, blah. Now, what is really important is because this sends data to your kitchen for this particular order. And the importance of that is that when you get busy, your waiter doesn't have the time to always be the person who go pick up the order, bring it to the table. And so this will print on your ticket in the kitchen where this person is sitting or the number in which they need in order to identify them in your eating area. So this allows you to add in a layer so that you can, easily distribute food, or you as the leader. And I know my days in operation, I often would just like, hey, what's the easiest thing I could do to jump in? And in my opinion, in a restaurant, outside of making sure people's cups are full, this would be the next thing where I could run some trades for them. So this makes it that easier. We have categories built in that we get to choose. So if somebody was like, is it dessert time? Instead of your waiter flipping through all the images, they can just click the category dessert, go straight to desserts, or whatever other, beverages, let's go straight to beverages. So this provides a quick, easy, accessible way by simply touching one of the functions on the side that allows you to dig into different categories. And then the simplicity of ordering. Once you click an item, if you need to do any preparation notes, like, so let's say, well, this is cookie, so it don't really apply. But if you had a burrito and they wanted to say, hold the cheese, you're able to put that into this section that also would transfer into the kitchen ticket for the cooks to take care of. So we'll add that to the cart, nice and easy. You go through the process, you can add everything that you need, and then afterwards, you're going to place the order. Now, what we want to do is you can set a primary waiter, or you can pick the waiter depending on the waiter that's actually taking at that time, if people are rotating at the register. And this is good data, because if you get into really analyzing your business and you find a pattern that, Susan seems to get higher tickets versus Jim, then maybe you can observe what Susie's doing and see if you can train Jim on some of her processes of how she's getting people to simply buy more every time. Now we're ready to place an order. Now we can edit the order if we wanted. So if we clicked on it, let's go back one sec. We clicked on the button, it highlights, right? And we can from this, we can edit the order down here at the bottom. We can hit invoice and we can do a split bill function. Or you could pay a single pair, whichever one you want. And it'll pop up getting you ready to go to the next stop. And then there you create the invoice and get ready to close it out. And then here you are, your payment option. Now, cool thing about our system is that you can do charge, that's going to be built in, or cash built in. You can have a loyalty point function. So whatever mechanism in which you want to create in terms of them cashing out, you can build in that to yourself. So if it was an app, you can do it. If it's a delivery, you can put that function in there. So all this is designed to make it easier for you to aggregate information and understand more details about your business. You can quick touch and hit add the amount, or you can type in the amount and hit the submit button. Then your receipt pops up. And the reason why it prompts for this particular case, because some people don't want a receipt. And so you don't want to waste your receipt paper if you don't need to. So you can just cancel out of it. Don't even print the receipt. And that's that easy. That's how the POS system rocks and rolls. I would love some feedback. Drop some comments. Let us know what you think of the system. What do you like the best? What do you think we can improve on? It's one of the best things about being a small mom and pop owned company is that we are agile. We can work directly with you to enhance your operations through the data. And if you have multiple restaurants, we can actually we can combine them together. You can actually put multiple restaurants in one thing, and we can look at them on a higher level. But I think that would do it. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns. Look forward to chatting with y'all later.